passionate about. I think that there's such a stigma around the word passion. It's like, people ask all the time, should I do what I'm passionate about, or should I get a real job, or should I do what will make me money, whatever. I think there's a way to do both. I completely understand that we live in a world where you do need to have a steady income, you need to make money in order to survive, but there's certainly a way to blend your passion and make sure that you are living sustainably and are living a life that, where you can actually live comfortably in this country. I never tell anyone to not pursue a passion, and that could be anything. I think also people kind of degrade certain passions, if that makes sense. I know I grew up as a competitive dancer. I don't dance as much anymore, but I grew up as a competitive dancer, and so I feel like growing up, when I would tell people oh, I'm a dancer, I didn't play soccer, I was a dancer, I feel like people would always try to, she's a dancer, what do you want your real job to be, even though that wasn't what I wanted to do career-wise. But I think also don't ever let anyone bash on your passion, because there's always a way to use what you love as a force for good. Dance can be used as a force for good. Activism can be used as a force for good. Filmmaking can be used as a force for good. And so it's finding your passion and, feeling confident in it, but then also using it for that good and not just letting that talent and that passion go to waste, I'd say.
And being true to yourself overall.
Absolutely.
Great. And we're in chat, and Nicole said, great advice. It's really something to think about. I know, because all young people are in the room right now, so everyone is in your ear telling you what you need to do, and this is what you want to do, but there is something where you feel true to your heart. And, I think what Ryan's saying it clearly, be true to you, and your passion. Coming your way, life offers a lot of clues to point us to the direction of what we want to do, Ryan. What advice would you give someone about how to follow the clues?
That is a very good question. I think whether or not we know it, I think that everything that we do has a common theme. And again, we may not realize it. I remember for me and my sisters growing up, we did a living history museum in our community. It was done every Black History Month, and we dressed up as historic Black figures, and people would come to the museum, and we would tell them about who we are. And I remember it kind of got to a certain age where me and my sisters were what is this? I'm not doing this anymore. We did this when we were 5 years old, and now we're 15. I'm not doing this anymore. And I remember we always questioned how is this gonna help me in my adult life, whatever. But little did I know that 10 years later down the line, I am working in a space where a strong knowledge and a strong appreciation of Black history is so crucial and important. And I grew up with that foundation. I grew up loving and supporting Black heroes and knowing about my Black heroes. It's unfortunate that in school we weren't taught about, your Bessie Colemans or your Frederick Douglasses, etc. And maybe they were just a light chapter in a book or something, but being able to really dedicate a whole month to memorize their story and to immerse myself in that, I think that was something that I never realized was going to mean so much to me as I grew up. And so I think that's one thing that I would say is never, never underestimate things that are happening in your life. Never take them for granted, because you never know what they could mean for you in your future, especially, I think, if it's your parents trying to make you do it. Your parents typically know best. And so if you think you're doing something that is like beyond stupid and it's like, I don't need to do this, I don't care about doing this, they probably have a bigger plan in mind. And even if it's not your parents, maybe just the people around you, they probably have a bigger plan in mind. And so yeah, don't take this for granted, because I can promise you your life and your life path has a common theme.
I'm going to talk about Yale because that's one of the top. No, I am. It's one of the top universities in the country. And so, when did you know that? What did you do? I mean, it's a competitive school. So just tell us about your journey, because we're high school students and we are working hard. And I'm glad to hear when a lot of our audience said, I'm putting in the work. And so how did your work pay off to get you that acceptance letter, if you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So I think one thing I will preface is that I went to a predominantly white high school. It was competitive. I feel like most high schools are competitive, or a lot of high schools are competitive, but I feel like I really felt and internalized that competition. And that, I think, put me in a really weird mindset when it was time for college applications. I was focused so much on, like, how can I separate myself from all my classmates? And that's what I became so hooked on, and it took for the people around me, my family, to really ground me and let me know, like, you are unique. Just like, and this isn't just for me, this is for everyone. Everyone has their own story to tell, whether or not you feel like I don't have some grand story about, like, meeting Barack Obama or something, you don't need that. Trust me. It's understanding how unique you are, not comparing yourself to the people around you, and being true to yourself, really. I mean, I feel like, especially since a lot of people here are still in high school, even if you're not in that college application process, even just from now on, when you are doing homework, when you're taking a test or studying for one or anything, obviously it's great to have people around you to support you, maybe study with, but don't get caught up in what they're doing. Don't get caught up in how they're testing or what their grades look like, etc. Because I think that really is a mistake that I made in high school. I'd say I did get caught up in that, and I think I caught myself early enough as to where that didn't consume my life. But I've seen that happen to people, and it's an unfortunate process, and it's awful for your mental health. Because again, the reality is that every single person is different, especially when you look behind closed doors. You will never know what's going on when you're not around for anyone in your class. Only you know what's happening in your life, and same goes vice versa. No one will ever know what's going on in your life. And so, yeah, stop comparing yourself. I'm serious. Don't do it. I think that's like, if someone had told me that, like, freshman and sophomore year, I think I probably would have caught myself even earlier than I did. Right. So yeah, I really mean that. I really do. And you're asking about Yale. Truly same thing. I think people get really caught up in, like, test scores and, like, numbers. I remember I was on, like, TikTok, and there was a video about a girl who was applying to college, and she put up, like, the stats, and was trying to get people to tell her what schools they think she'd get into. But the reality is that, like, literally, again, everybody is different. I think Yale specifically is looking at your personality. They're looking at who you are as a person. Now that I've been accepted and I'm in these group chats, being able to see the wide range of like scores and numbers and all these different factors, like, trust me, there's no formula. I can promise you that there is no formula to get in. It truly is about being yourself. And I mean, if you don't get in, trust me, I got rejected from schools. I did. If you don't get in, you know, it's all good. Like, there are so many other schools out there. And there's so many other options as well, you know, community college and working and there's other options. And so, you know, don't dwell on those rejections.